Evening, guys. We've got another Fit to Food Lover podcast Q&A session, but there's a bit of discussion on this one. We've got some good questions, and you're the question master again.
Amazing. My
But
favourite.
yeah, these are questions not so much from socials or from because we've just had the last week, so we don't necessarily get the questions from the girls on the program. Excuse me, but we have had some through the week from colleagues and people that we've bumped into. So
Yeah, like I say, it's going to be more, I think more discussions. I think we've got like more 2 questions and then 2 little discussions, I'd say.
it'd be an interesting one. But yeah, I think this is going to be really because there's lots of myths and really common myths that are going to be addressed. Things like fasting, and autophagy is a key word in there, but you will get to that one. So, first question, I think
Yeah.
it's on type 2 diabetics.
Yes. Would you recommend type 2 diabetics should cut down on carbs in their diet? Oh my goodness. Start again. Would you recommend type 2 diabetics should cut down on carbs in their diet or just simply lose weight to improve their health?
Cool. So we've got somebody who was type 2 diabetic, and I say was type 2 diabetic, who is currently doing the Shaping Up program. And I've worked with quite a few type 2 diabetics who've looked at and pre-diabetics who've looked at addressing their health. So the first thing is that excuse me, understand the difference between type 2 and type 1. So type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. It's where the body's attacked certain cells within the pancreas so that you don't produce insulin. Type 2 diabetes, although you can get to a point where your body stops producing insulin, generally it's around the way your body responds to insulin. So you become resistant to that insulin. Insulin is a signaling chemical. Effectively, what it's doing is selecting the energy system that your body's using. So when your blood sugars are high, your insulin increases and it encourages your muscles to take in the glucose from your blood, and then we'll prioritize that as the energy source. And as a result, your body will then store fat. Now, that's why we get some of this thing about, oh, you don't want your insulin to spike because it will stop fat loss. It won't. It will stop your body from burning fat for that period while the insulin's high, but it will drop again, and then your body's going to start burning fat. So ultimately, as we always say, fat loss is calorie deficit. It's yes, insulin can play a role as to that instant in time as what you're using, but ultimately it's calorie deficit. So, as the insulin drops, it will switch to fat burning mode. Now, with type 2 diabetics, one of the things that there are lots of reasons for that insulin resistance. One of the most common ones is that fat tissue is insulin resistant. So your body is trying to produce more insulin to encourage, your body to kind of absorb the glucose in the blood, and that can lead to the issues around type 2 diabetes. So if you've got a lot of excess body fat, that's going to cause a lot of the problem. So the first thing is, and this is one of the recommendations that you'll get from diabetic specialists, it's to lose weight. Weight loss is the key thing. And studies and research have shown that around 5 to 10% loss of weight, of body mass, that's massively going to help your insulin sensitivity. The other thing to do is build muscle. Muscle is more insulin sensitive. So go out and resistance train, go and lift weights, build your muscles. And actually exercise in general encourages the muscles to absorb and take in glucose from the bloodstream. So just being active, doing exercise and lifting weights is a key thing to do if you want to try and improve your blood sugars. And this is one of the reasons why they say going for a walk after a meal is going to help with kind of digestion and as well help balancing those blood sugar levels. I'm not saying we need to worry too much about blood sugar levels, but if you are somebody who is perhaps pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, then that is something that we do need to think about, especially over the long term. As for cutting carbs, no. I mean, not even type 1 diabetics need to cut carbs. They just need to count them so that they can dose themselves with insulin. If you're type 2 diabetic, then moderating carbs, having a moderate level, so perhaps say 40% to 50% of your diet from carbohydrates, that'd be fine. But you don't need to drastically cut them. My recommendation would be probably sort of around 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. That would be a good amount. And that's a fairly kind of typical amount for somebody who's wanting to achieve fat loss anyway. So yeah, in short, you don't need to cut carbs. Moderate them. So if you've got a diet that is high in carbohydrates, say you're eating sort of 65-70% of your calories from carbs, you know, get your carbohydrate intake down to maybe 40-50%, increase your protein, and then focus and concentrate on fat loss. And then just with protein there, protein actually triggers insulin release without spiking your glucose. So you can help with your insulin, your kind of blood sugar control by increasing your protein as well.
I think the only other thing to note is if we look at all of the crazy diets that are in the world, the keto diet was actually initially created to help people with diabetes, which I think, again, where this whole confusion around the carbohydrates came in, because it is a way to manage it by obviously cutting out those carbs, but it isn't necessary. I mean, in extreme measures, it can help in that sense, but it doesn't mean that you have to. But that was initially why keto was created, for that reason, not for the general public.
The keto diet, I mean, initially it was created to treat so extreme ketosis, you know, where it's zero carbs effectively, aimed to treat drug resistant epilepsy. And that is something that that's probably the only situation where I would say actually you would benefit from that. So a really high fat diet, moderate protein, very, very low carbohydrate. It has been shown to have some benefits in helping treat drug resistant epilepsy. And if you actually go through the recommendations for diabetic associations and organizations, they don't necessarily recommend the keto diet or low carb diet.
They did, like, obviously for a little while there was a period where it was like a big thing, and I think some places will still recommend it, but again, it's like you say, it's not a necessity. You can still manage it, and like say, I've had people go through the program that have managed it without doing so. But it's one of those other ones where the scaremongering has come from, I think, is that whole thing where that started to be recommended, which is where you tend to see it from.
And there's no real research to back it up. There's nothing there to back it. So it's you know, you don't need to. And I think you know, really, you've also got to think about long term. We always talk about the long term processes. Whatever you do to achieve a certain goal, you need to be able to sustain. So, you know, if you're somebody who is type 2 diabetic and you're thinking about cutting carbs, you've then got to think, actually, am I going to be able to sustain that long term? It'd be much better to learn how to moderate it so you're at a sensible level rather than cutting it completely, because we get that binge restrict cycle, which is not going to do you any good. That's not going to do any good to controlling your blood sugar levels. So, you know, moderate your carbs, roughly 2 grams per kilo, around that sort of ballpark. That's going to be enough. And then also focus on your complex carbs. So you starchy carbs, things like your potatoes, sweet potatoes, porridge oats. Porridge oats are a great one. Beta glucans, which is a soluble fiber you find in porridge oats, has got so many good health benefits. Research shows it reduces LDL cholesterol. It can help control blood sugar spikes because it can slow the release of the food into the lower intestine so that we absorb the glucose a little bit slower. So you get a lower spike rather than this sudden increase in going down. And then it has also been shown to help manage kind of blood sugar control, but also help with reducing the risk of insulin resistance. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. So porridge oats, you know, and all these people who bang on about porridge oats being bad for you, no, get your porridge oats in you.
There's your takeaway from this one, guys.
Yeah.
Next one. Does eating too little mean that your body will enter survival mode and you will store fat and burn muscle? This is another one of those myths that people have heard. Is it true?
Oh, do you know what? I wish this one would die. Absolutely wish this one would die. It's been around for years and it's been debunked so many times. All I can say is anybody who tells you that, what I want you to think about is people who live or people who are in refugee camps, people who've been in places of famine, look at prisoner of war camps as well, especially the photos that came out of things like the Holocaust and the Japanese prisoner of war camps. These were they underwent starvation. They were emaciated. They were literally skeletal. They also have a look at the Minnesota starvation experiment, where they had an extreme diet for a group of guys over a period of time. They lost a lot of weight. They were emaciated. So no, your body does not hold on to body fat. Now, there are extreme diets. We don't recommend them. We've talked about the aggressive calorie deficit before, and in some cases, for some people, over a short term, they can be beneficial. They can be good for kickstarting a weight loss phase to help get you more kind of motivated, because you'll see quick results. But it's not something that you sustain for long periods of time. Because of, if you're not eating very many calories, you're not going to get micronutrients into your body. You're not going to get enough of the healthy fat, and that will cause issues quite quickly. Over a period of 3 or 4 weeks, that can cause some issues. So we do need to make sure that if we are doing an aggressive deficit, it's short, not over long periods. The problem with them, though, is that if you cut your calories so low, you're just going to rebound. And if you how many times have you had people kind of going, oh, I've been really good in the week, I've only eaten 1,200 calories a day in the week, and then the weekend comes and
that's it. It's suddenly, oh, I've been out, oh, we had takeaway, oh, I've been down the pub and had a few pints, we've eaten out for dinner and had a bottle of wine, and all of a sudden everything that you've done through the week, you've just completely knocked out in the space of 2 days. So it's you've got to be really honest with yourself, I think, with what you're actually eating when you are looking to drop some body fat and you are looking to eat in a deficit. Just be really honest about, like, say, how your week and your weekend look. Before saying it doesn't work, my body's in starvation mode.
And it is an excuse. It's an excuse that people use it when they think, oh, I've only eaten 1,200 calories a day, and yet I'm not losing weight. And actually, if you look at it across the week, yes, during the weekday, you might have only had 1,200 calories Monday to Thursday. Then Friday night comes and you think, oh, I've been really good all week, I'm going to have a takeaway. Then Saturday comes and you go out with friends and, like you say, bottle of wine, couple of drinks, a kebab on the way home, Sunday, massive Sunday dinner. And that weekend, suddenly everything's back at maintenance, and it's so easy to do. Whereas actually, instead of eating 1,200 calories for 4 days and then 3,000 calories a day for 3 days, if you aim to eat 1,500, 1,600 calories, maybe even 1,700, 1,800 calories across the whole week, it's more manageable. You can stick within it. You are going to see results. So no, your body literally does not hold on to it. It's if that happened, you would be breaking one of the fundamental laws of physics. And it just if you are eating fewer calories than you are burning, you will lose body fat. Full stop.
I think the other thing that I think really frustrates me with this whole, oh, you're eating too little, you'll enter starvation mode and all of these things, all you have to do is look at all of those people who are severely ill with eating disorders, who are, really, really poorly, who end up in hospital with it. Their body is not in starvation mode. They are, very ill, and you always hope they'll make a recovery. But the reality is that they are not eating enough and their body is shutting down. And actually, if starvation mode was a thing, that wouldn't be happening. They would still be storing fat and they wouldn't be in, the position that they're in when they get to be in that ill. And it can be so harmful when, you see that, especially if there's people that are recovering from it. And like saying there, you see this one that still hasn't died. And it's like, no, I've been there. I've not eaten enough. That is not a thing. And it can be so frustrating. And I think it's, just look at it from that side. If it was real, we wouldn't have that issue of people essentially dying from not eating enough food, like you say, all over the world. So it's not a thing.
No, not a thing at all. And if anybody, for me, it's a red flag. If you see anybody who is offering coaching or anybody who's offering fat loss advice or anything along those sorts of lines, if they mention starvation mode, run. Run in the opposite direction. They are not qualified to be giving you any form of fat loss or fitness advice. And I see it so often. Unfortunately, I see people sign up to these things as well, as I
Yeah.
saw today. But
Do you
I'll
want
save that for later.
I was gonna say, do we do that next or
No, we'll do
last?
that
We're
one
going to do
later.
them first. Okay. Another one, more of a discussion. Should we all be doing 24 to 72-hour fasts for our health to allow our body time to detox itself and reset itself for our health? And should we be doing this regularly?
It's a common thing. I've seen it on different podcasts and things as well. I
Mhm.
think Stephen Bartlett had somebody on his podcast talking about 72-hour fasts and ketosis and all of this sort of thing. In a word, no. I mean,
There's
there
no
are
harm in
no,
them. It's
and
another form of a calorie deficit, essentially.
there are some benefits in certain situations. So we've talked about the aggressive deficit kind of protocol that I've followed myself on occasion, where I've done sort of a week to 10 days of an aggressive diet, just for some quick results to kickstart me. One of the things that I have done is have a 24-hour fast, and Martin McDonald talks about it in his aggressive deficit protocol as well. And for anybody who doesn't know, Martin McDonald is he's one of the best when it comes to nutrition. Go and have a look at Martin Nutrition or Mac Nutrition on Instagram. There's loads of really good advice on there. But he starts his fast with a 24 to 36. Sorry, starts his aggressive diet with a 24 to 36-hour fast. The reason for that, one is it. Obviously, if you're not eating for 36 hours, you're putting yourself automatically in a big deficit. But the second thing is that it can actually help reset the body in terms of how it responds to the hunger hormones.
Yes.
So, it can make your body a little bit more sensitive to leptin, which is the satiety hormone. That's the one that makes you feel full, and can help to kind of reduce the amount of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone that you're producing. So there are some kind of suggestions that it can help in terms of resetting the way that you respond to those hormones.
Mm.
But beyond that, there are no further benefits to doing a fast that you wouldn't get from just being in a calorie deficit. It's not magic. We've got kidneys and a liver that detoxes your blood. As long as they are functioning normally, that's going to detox. You don't need to take lemon water. You don't need to take any of these kind of ginger shots or whatever to detox your body. Your body does it automatically. They talked about, I think you mentioned autophagy when we were talking about it. Yeah. And all autophagy is the way the body kind of breaks down the byproducts of kind of cell death and the toxins in there. It's just breaking down those things and getting rid of those
How
toxins.
it gets rid of,
Yeah.
all of those dead things in the body that it doesn't need. Yeah.
Yeah, and fasting does increase autophagy. So they're not lying to you when they say that.
Yeah, when people are, yeah.
But do you know what else increases autophagy? Calorie deficit.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't need to go to the extreme of starving. Like you say, for some people it works really well, which is why intermittent fasting can be a really beneficial way, and people find it really useful for fat loss.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it and break it all down, all you're doing is consuming less calories through the day, whether that's that you're just eating one meal in the middle of the day and that's all you have, whether that's you do a 24-hour fast or a 72-hour fast and then just eat normally. Essentially the 5-2 diet is another one.
Yeah.
Essentially that's all it is, intermittent fasting, and some people find it really beneficial, they react really well to it, other people really, really struggle. So if you're one of those people that finds it really hard, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you and that you should be doing it and forcing yourself to and being miserable for those 24 to 72 hours. There's absolutely no need.
No.
But if it's something that you find beneficial and you feel better for it, absolutely there's nothing wrong with doing it. But it's not this magic thing that's going to change your life.
It's just a way of providing structure to your diet in the same way that we say, right, try and eat 3 to 4 meals at regular periods throughout the day. That's a structure to your diet. If you are intermittent fasting, where you say got a 16-8 or a 14-10 window, so that would be an 8-hour eating window with a 16-hour fast in between. That's just a way of saying, right, I've just got 8 hours to eat my meals. It's a structure. And then adding in those fasts in there. So like you say, the 5-2 diet, where you have 2 days on very, very low calories and 5 days where you eat it, you know, whatever you want, effectively within certain guidelines, then you know you can. It's just a structure, and if it works for you, then great. If you can stick to it, great. But again, I go back to that point in that whatever you do to lose weight, you've got to be able to do 90% of that to maintain those those results, that weight loss. Because if you, let's say you're doing the 5-2 diet and you think, right, I'm doing this to lose the weight, and then I'm going to return to what I was doing before, the weight's going to come back on because it is your previous lifestyle and habits that put you there in the first place. So look at, if it's a short-term thing and you're going to go for it aggressively, absolutely you can do that and then learn building the habits up afterwards. But you have to look at your lifestyle. If you want to get results, you've got to look at, you know, what you need to do long term to sustain them. And that's a really important thing. And unfortunately, that's the bit that all of these fad diets miss out. You know, and anybody who says to you, you need to do 72-hour fast because of this, they're selling you something. They are trying to sell you a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah. But Will, what about to 6 to 10 week shred? That's surely not going to do me any harm, and I can just lose a load of body fat and then my life will be great.
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. And you know, my my biggest issue with this is that you see lots of people, and this is something that came up today. So you see a lot of coaches, and especially at this time of year, we've all come back from the summer holiday, we've got Christmas coming up, and there's loads, you know, yes, we're going to be fully transparent here. We are advertising a program launching for this to help people build the habits up. But what we don't do is we don't promise a 2-stone weight loss in 8 weeks. We promise that you can, if you stick to the program, lose anywhere between 7 to 14 pounds in the 8 weeks. That's perfectly feasible. That's a 1 to 2 pound fat loss, depending on how much fat you've got to lose. What we try and promote is building habits and then doing it in a sustainable way. The problem with a lot of these, you know, we do it without sort of putting up loads and loads of before and afters. Yes, I put one up on my socials of somebody who's currently doing it before and after, because the results were good. You know, they were amazing. But the key one there was the actual testimonial, the text, the feedback that they gave us. That's kind of what we're looking at. The problem with these 6-week shreds is that they're sold by people who use their bodies to advertise. And this was a comment that was made to me. You know, it was like, right, you don't have hundreds of people signing up because you don't have somebody standing there in a bikini trying to sell a certain look. And I am never going to do that. You know, Alice, don't worry.
I shouldn't get bikini prep ready, Will. Damn,
I am not going to
spray tan.
No, and I'm not going to do it myself. I'm not going to suddenly, I'm not going to be one of those guys who suddenly gets shredded, takes a photo or goes for a photo shoot where they take hundreds of photos, plaster them all over the social medias, because actually those guys probably don't look like that 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Unless this is something that we've got to understand, is that what you look at on social media is a snapshot, and it's airbrushed and it's edited. Those people cannot sustain those results. Just like when they sell you the 6-week shred or the 8-week shred or the 10-week shred, those results are not sustainable. They give you, and the one that really gets me is when they say personalized program, and then they have 200 people sign up. How the hell are they going to personalize that program for 200 people? They're not. It's a cookie cutter. And I know this because I've seen the programs from different people who are doing the same program.
Yeah.
And I've seen the actual program, and they've shown me what they've, you know, this is the other thing. So they were told not to share their program with anybody. Why do you think that's going to happen? Yeah. It's because the coach knows that it's the same thing. You know, personalized meal plans, personalized programs. So many of them do it where they say, yes, we're going to personalize your meal plan. There's two things. Unless they, can you see this one here? Unless they have something like that in the corner, you know, that says that they are a certified nutritionist or that they are a registered nutritionist or they've done a nutrition degree, they are not supposed to be giving you meal plans. They're not qualified to give you meal plans, right? This program is, ours is, but do we give them meal plans? No, we give them examples of what they could eat, but we don't give personalized meal plans because people don't stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they give you these meal plans that are personalized to you. Well, no, they're not. The most personalization you can do, and I've seen another, I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to out anybody. But I've seen this happen a few times where they give exactly the same meal plan to everybody. And what they do is they put you into weight categories. So they basically worked out that for 60 to 70 kilos, if you want to lose roughly £1 to £2 a week, that's the meal plan. And those are the quantities of the foods that you need. If you're 70 to 80, then they adjust the quantities. There you go. If you're 80 to 90 and so on, right? So they just have categories and they say, right, you weigh 75 kilos, you're in that category. There you go. That's your meal plan. But it's exactly the same as the meal plan for somebody who is different weight.
Yeah.
And it's the same for the programs, exactly the same. And you will have exactly the same program. I had somebody saying, oh, they've given me a personalized program based on the equipment that I've got. Really? So they showed me the program and I'm like, there's no personalization there. It's all body weight stuff because they're doing the workouts at home. There's no inclusion of equipment. The only thing that they did was if you want to add weight or resistance, use the equipment you've got. That was it.
Wow. I didn't know that bit. We didn't speak about that before.
That was it, and this is the problem. And then the calories they set you, some of them say we don't set calories, we'll give you meal plans. But the calories they have you on quite often are either too low because they want results. So they're going to put you on very low calories, or what they tend to do is they'll say, right, you've got to walk for 30 minutes a day. You've got to go on the Stairmaster for 30 minutes a day. You've got to do 4 workouts a week. And they will promise kind of great results. And yes, and if you stick to it and you eat the food, do those cardio minutes, and then do the workouts, you are going to get results. But for how long are you going to do 30 to 40 minutes of cardio every single day, especially if you've got kids and a job and doing 4 to 5 workouts a week? Yeah. And you've got to prep your meals on top of it. How long can you sustain that? You can't.
And it comes back to that whole, okay, so you've done the shred, you've done the 6 weeks, you've done the 10 weeks. Now what? Because again, if you're just going to go straight back to what you were doing before, same as like all these boot camp programs, it's not going to work. Because like you say, it's your old lifestyle choices that weren't helping you in the first place. So if you're going to go straight back to that, you will end up back to where you started, which is why, like you say, with ours, it's very different.
Yeah.
The program that we do isn't even just necessarily based on fat loss. If you just want to start building habits, getting workouts into your routine, want to try something new because you're bored of your current program, anything like that, just need a little bit of advice and you want to speak to coaches that can help you with that, then fine. It doesn't have to be a fat loss focused thing. The focus is more, like you say, on those habits, so that at the end of it, when you think, I know enough now, I feel confident I can do this on my own and continue to make progress. Perfect. That's where you want to get to. And there's no there's a set start date, but there's no set end date. No. You can drop off at the end of the first one. You can go, we've had girls do 5-6 cycles now, and are now getting to that point where they think, actually, I'm confident I can do it on my own now, which is great. That's what we want. But it's not based on, there you go, well done, you've done 6 weeks. Yeah, you've lost all that weight. Bye. No. Because you'll be back to square one, and that's then when you get in the whole cycle of diets don't work.
Exactly. We start, and you've hit the note. If somebody comes to us, one of the things we ask is, what is your primary goal? Is it fat loss? Is it building strength? Is it health? And if you want to maintain your body weight and build strength, then we set your calories and your protein and the macronutrients around.
It's personalized.
It's personalized. So you will get the calories that will help you maintain the weight. If you want to lose fat, then you will get the calories that will help you lose fat, that is personalized to you. And then they are tweaked. So if we don't see results, and because that's the other thing, the calorie calculators are not 100% accurate. They're an estimate. So the only way that we know if you are in a deficit is if we notice that your body fat is going down, either by tape measurement sites or by body weight. So we need to kind of track it and monitor it, and we make adjustments. if you've got 200 people on a program, there's no way you can do that other than going, oh, just cut your calories by 200, but then what happens with the rest of it? How are you going to do that? So you need that kind of advice. The programs as well, we tweak them. So if you come to us and say, I can't do that exercise because of X, Y, and Z, we take it out, we put another one in. Again, these big shreds where they've got 20, 30, 40, 50 plus people, it's the same workout because that's the way it works. Now, I'm not saying they're completely pointless.
Yeah.
They serve a purpose. But if your goal is fat loss and sustaining those results, you're wasting your money because, and it's the same as people who say, I keep going back to Slimming World because it works. Well, you keep going back to it. So clearly it doesn't work. You keep going and doing the boot camps. They don't work. What you need to do is learn about your health, learn about nutrition, how to sustain those habits. And that's what these programs don't do. And that's what we're trying to do with the Shape Up program. We try and address it with that. So yeah, are they any good? They have a place. I'm being balanced here. They're not completely useless. If you are going on holiday in 10 weeks' time and you want to drop a little bit of weight, that's great. But understand that it's not going to teach you how to maintain that weight loss. The chances are you'll go on holiday, hit the boots, hit the buffet, have a great time, come back and feel really bad about yourself. Whereas actually, if you did a program where, okay, you want to lose weight for a holiday, we can personalize the program for you to do that. We can then give you the advice as how to manage the holiday, still enjoy yourself. Yes, you might gain a bit of weight, but we'll make you understand why that happens. And then we'll say, however, if you come and do this, somebody's got a Lando. If you come and do this afterwards, then, those results are going to come back again and you're not going to have undone all your progress. That's the big issue with all. And unfortunately, because we want fast results and because we think, and this is the other thing, just because you see somebody looking fantastic on social media and they give you the diet plan, you could eat like them, you could work out like them, you could hit all the cardio stuff exactly like they do for the same period of time and get completely different results.
Yeah, doesn't mean you'll look like that.
Yeah.
Just because you're doing the same thing. Yeah. Your genetics do play a huge part in that as well. And
Massive.
Everyone is so different. Yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it? And actually you'll see like a few of the better, that's not the right word. You see other people in the fitness space online where people will ask them, how much do you eat a day? Can you show me what you eat in the day? And they're like, no, because it's not relevant to you. What I consume, what I do in a day isn't going to be relevant to you as a person. And they're the ones that you should be taking advice from and looking up to. Not these ones that are going, this is what you should do. This is what I eat. You can look like me. Like, no.
You could eat, you could eat exactly what that person eats for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and
do the exact same, exercise regime, like live the same life, and you will still look completely different at the end of it.
Yeah, because we are individuals, and that's the thing we've got to remember. And what you need is a personalized approach. You do need to have that, and you need somebody who can help you understand that. You need accountability is the key thing. You need accountability and support, and understanding that there are some people who are going to find fat loss harder. And unfortunately, if you're one of 200 people, how much accountability are you going to really have?
Yeah, there's not as much, like in terms of like personalized check-ins and all of those things. A lot of times it's like automated responses that will come through, and it depends on how many coaches they've got as well. Like, there's so many different varying factors, and even those programs will vary into the results you'll get and how helpful they are in terms of, like you say, that accountability that you'll get will vary from program to program. But and like you say, for some people it may work. For others, if they need that accountability a lot more, they want that extra bit of support to help them get to where they want to be, a smaller program is definitely the way forward.
And I'll give one other tip as well for people kind of looking at these things, is that if you see a coach who is showing before and after pictures, you've got to kind of look at the situation for those before and after pictures as well. Because one of the common tricks is, especially if they do them, with the leggings on, they say to them, roll down your leggings, let the fat out. And then when you do the after picture, you pull the leggings up. I've seen so many coaches do that. And if they do that, That's a little bit of a red flag as well, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a few colleagues that, and I'm going to get in trouble for doing that. I've got a few colleagues who do that trick. And yeah, it annoys me. It really does. Yeah, again, I'm not going to mention names.
We're just going to upset everyone this
Yeah, I am
evening.
today. Yeah,
This is going to be the one that'll
I'm
get
on a
you in
rant.
trouble. You're losing
Oh, good.
friends.
Anyway, I think we've covered that one.
Yeah, and that was the last one.
That was the
So
last question.
there you go.
Good. It's been a long day.
There you go. You're done. Earlier finish. I'm going to get ready to go for a swim.
Lovely.
9 p.m. swim session. We're going to get in that pool, get it done.
Get it done. And that's the thing. It's habits and routines. And I've done a nutrition workshop this afternoon where we talked about habits and routines being the cornerstone of, well, everything really in terms of results. And one of the things that I'm going to finish this podcast on the same thought that I finished the workshop on. And it was actually, your habits come from your identity and how you identify with yourself. If you identify somebody who is lazy, who perhaps, is overweight, you see yourself as somebody who is overweight and lazy, then you are going to eat more and you're going to move less. Yeah. However, if you want to lose weight, then you have to identify as that person who is somebody who is fitter. You have to identify and see yourself as an active person. Don't just go, I go to the gym. You look at yourself as, I am an active person. I'm a gym goer. I am a gym goer. I'm not somebody who goes to the gym. I am a gym goer. I'm not somebody who is on a diet. I eat healthily. So it's that kind of way you identify as the behavior that you want to portray, and the results then come from that. That's the key thing.
100%.
Yeah.
I am a triathlete, Will.
You are a triathlete. Yeah. And I'm a weightlifter, and that's it. I lift weights. And that's what I identify as. I am somebody who likes to cook and enjoys cooking healthy meals, and I eat healthily. And it's meant that I lost, I'd lost a load of weight. What did I work it out as? Heaviest to lightest was 63 kilos, which is 10 stone. I thought it was 9, but it's actually 10 stone. And I've managed to sustain that weight loss. I've not got back up to it, and gradually over time built muscle up because I've identified as that person and changed my habits accordingly. That's what you got to look for. It's long-term change.
Yeah. Who do you want to be, essentially?
Yeah. Great question to ask yourself.
There you go.
Brilliant. All right, guys, we'll end on that note. Who do you want to be? That's the question you've got to ask yourselves. We will be back on Friday with a new round of Shape Up in 8 and the Q&A questions, hopefully from those guys. So until next week, that is bye from us.
Bye.